Hello everyone, my name is Andras Szabo. I am a senior Dynamics 365 FNSCM solution analyst at Anchor Business Solution. So that's my job role. I'm a technical resource. Thank you for everybody voting me in to session. I really appreciate it. And please utilize the chat window during the presentation. Enter your questions in the chat window. I'm gonna do my best at the end of the presentation in the Q&A session to answer all of them if I can. Today's presentation is about the lessons what we learned during our implementation projects or internal developments. This session going to be touch the LCS, the DevOps, release processes, deployments, and branching, and a little bit more. So let's start it. We have 4 topics during the presentation. The first one is LCS, DevOps and Visual Studio, very quick overview, because that's the 3 main components that we're going to talk about. The second topics is the development, branching, and release strategies, very important thing. And because if it's a technical session, that's gonna be one of the main focus topics. The third topic is how to validate, deploy Microsoft releases and ISV releases. We have a very special way to do that we wanted to share. And the last one is the database movement strategies. So let's start with the LCS. So I think most of us familiar with the screen, the main screen of the LCS. So what LCS is? So LCS is a collaboration portal. This is where your implementation project is located, the one of the locations. And Microsoft provides regularly updated services in this portal. We have the asset library here. We can open support cases. We can initiate database backups, database movements. Microsoft provides self-servicing environment, just like the production and the sandbox. And we can utilize the issue search and so on. It's way more functionalities and offerings are in this LCS. One thing which is very important, LCS can connect to our DevOps at the background, which is important to utilize the business process model and our recordings. So the DevOps side and the LCS can connect. This instance is not connected, unfortunately, but I just kept this screenshot as is, and because I wanted to show it's broken now, but it's a very easy fix. We just need to go to the Azure or Azure portal, pick up a service account which is never expired. That's the best option to do. Create a authentication token, note it, come back to here, enter the token, and the communication is gonna be fixed. So it's an easy fix. So that's it for high level overview for the LCS. So we have 2 different environments in LCS. On the left side, we can see the subscription-based environments. It's a very basic situation here, 1 test environment and the 1 actual production environment. So that's your subscription. And on the right side, we have the cloud-hosted environments, and why I brought it up, it's going to be important during the presentation. So the cloud-hosted environments is sitting or located in the company Azure portal, and the cost is against the Azure subscription, which is a huge difference. And we have full control over these environments. We can stop them. If we don't want to use it, then it's gonna be 0 cost. So that's the huge difference. I wanted to brought it into the focus. So we have the asset library here under the LCS. As a technical resource, I use it most often, and I want to talk about a little bit 4 section or nodes of the asset library. First is the database backup node and the page. which is listing our database backups. And why it's important, because we can automate the backups, and if we have more than one environment, test environment, we have UAT Gold or something like that during the implementation. If we automate 3 database backups overnight, daily basis, not that is gonna be very overcrowded after very quickly. And it's the same situation with the software deployable package section or page. It's a very similar list, but instead of listing the database backups, it's listing the actual code, the deployable packages. And during the implementation, it's very similar situation, very high frequency code deployments can occur, and it's gonna produce a very large list of the objects, the deployable packages. So what's the problem is, once we hit the 200 plus packages in this section after the deployable packages, and LCS get very slow. So we just figured it out. We need to clean it up. So we reduce the packages, the number of the packages to less than 30, and the LCS gets back to normal. And the same situation with the backups. So somebody needs to come here and do the cleanups. And we have 2 special nodes. If we have as well, if we have ISV providers and we have the ISV solution, they provide us their solution packages here in the solution package section. And once we download the actual release, if they provide the code which belongs to the actual released version is going to be saved under the models node. So that's the 4 page or nodes that I wanted to talk about here in the asset library. So let's talk about Azure DevOps. So the DevOps is also a collaboration portal, and during the implementation project, it's our main working area. It's as the name just suggests, it's a combination of the development and the operations part of the project. So the technical side and the functional side teams can work together in the DevOps. What I mentioned, so the development and the operations in the one place, it has the centralized repository here, which means it connected to the version control. The change sets located here. It can be used for file archive, and we can use it for solution modeling. Automations can be built utilize the pipelines and the build automation, the code build, the release automation, and the test automations can be set up here. So again, if anybody has the DevOps, we found it very useful and very powerful framework. Please utilize it. The light grade, the little bit darker grade area here is mainly for the functional side, the functional team, SMEs and the users, and the others mainly used by the technical people. How does it look like in Visual Studio, and how Visual Studio and DevOps is connected? So the left side is the Visual Studio. How does it look like? On the screenshot, we can see a very basic topology of the branching, and at the same time, that same topology or structure can be seen in the DevOps. And the very good thing is it's real-time updates each other. So if we made a modification here in the Visual Studio, it's immediately almost real-time updated in the Azure DevOps side, and vice versa. And the good thing is about it, the SME or somebody in charge or interested in to look at the branching and needs to, for example, have a look at the change sets, they can do it right in DevOps. No need to have a Visual Studio subscription or something, or Visual Studio instance access. They can do it right in DevOps. So it's a real collaboration portal, very powerful, highly encourage everybody to utilize it. Let's talk about the development. So what we found during our implementation projects and internal developments, because speaking of the Dynamics 365, a new developer proper onboarding is crucial. So right now the development tool, the coding platform is integrated to Visual Studio. And what does it mean? The X++ language is located just right beside the C++, Visual C, or the other object-oriented languages. And the problem is not the coding itself. So it's developer who have experienced any other object-oriented language can practically very quickly speed up and do codes in X++. But the problem is the D365 F&O development or FNFCM development has a specific principles. The whole key points and the developer, the newly arrived developer needs to understand everybody in the same in the team and needs to be on the same page. So they need to understand what's the core application, what's the extensions, what's the models are, how we utilize it, and what's the reason for that, the metadata search, and so on. So what we found, when a new developer in Dynamics 365 arrives and on board, we always complete this onboarding section. Contractors, clients, developers, for everybody. That's the first step, and it makes our lives way more easier. The second part is lay down and follow the development standards. And I mean, we have at Encore we have our development standards. So what does it mean? Microsoft has a very large documentation in different places in their documentation pages, very deep details, but it's a very large documentation. So what we found and what we done, we created a very low page number document, so just a couple of pages with the essentials of that large documentations, and we provide it to our new developers. It contains the naming conventions, just like on the screen, and the proper commenting in the code. It's very important how to comment a code and put reference numbers in the code. It's very useful for issue solving, and how to do the comment again, the how to create a model, and so on and so on. We highly recommend for everybody to do these two steps for sure. It provides a very solid basic for the ongoing development. Apply code checking rules. I have a dedicated slide for that. Exactly, I'm gonna explain it on that in details. So what's going on in the implementation projects compared to internal or feature development? So during the implementation projects, we definitely have challenges with the overlapping developments, because if it's a heavily customized implementation, it most likely at the phase of the development phase, in the way more developments going on, and a lot of overlapping developments happening. We need to manage it. We need to carefully design it, create a proper sequence, and strictly follow that sequence. And we need to deal with multiple developers. Not need, but we definitely gonna deal with multiple developers, most likely located in different time zones. So it's another challenging part, how to organize that whole development. And again, if you utilize the DevOps, I'm gonna explain it in the next or the second slide. If you utilize DevOps properly, it can be and going to be a smooth process, the implementation. After go live or for internal and feature development, it's a different story. We don't have really strict time frame. We can plan our feature development. A specific dedicated team can be assigned, and that's a huge difference. It's a little bit more relaxing pattern for doing that. And what we found very useful, because of the multiple developers and the overlapping development. We created a automated overnight build just for check on the checked in codes. So the developers checking in codes from different time zones, for example, and they're not necessarily aware of the other their teammates check-ins. So we wanted to make sure if they checked in code, it's compiled, so it's nothing broken. So we created a overnight build for that automated build. And the good thing is, once the build completed or failed, we can have email notification either of the success or the failure with the details. So if it succeeded, good, everything is okay. The code compiles, most likely ready to release to the test. Very good. And if we have the failure message, it's fully detailed, so we can see who was the developer, what is the change set. We can immediately reach the developer, and they can fix it, checking the fix again. And the good thing is about that pipeline, once the fix arrived, we don't have to wait for the overnight build schedule. We can right away trigger it manually, kick it off manually again, if we have in a urgency situation, and it's roughly an hour to get a completed build, and we can deploy it to the test. Other important thing that we found very useful, utilize the best practice check tools. So these are the best practice checking tools. On the left side, it's in a built-in tool in the Visual Studio. Under the D365 menu in Visual Studio, we have the option to build our application or our solution customization. And on the popping up dialog, we have that run the best practice checks. So we mark it and click on the build button. And once the compile is completed, we can have a look the list of the output of the result of the best checking result in the output window. Analyze it, fix it. The other alternative to do it, the command line tool, the customization analysis report, the CAR. It's available in every single cloud-hosted dev box. If you can remember, that was the right side of the second slide. So every developer has their own dedicated dev box, and this tool is located for everybody one by one. So please utilize it. It's if you just search the internet and type customization analysis report, it pops up quickly. It's a large document by Microsoft. It's just a short portion of that. But what we can do, put this command in the command line, the command prompt window, pick up our model, kick off the report, and the result going to be displayed on the same command window. And it's organized by the best practice warning types. It's described at the bottom section of the same document. Please read it. And one thing is, most likely we don't want to and don't need to fix all of the best practice warnings, but we definitely have certain types, the labels, the data caching warnings, the delete action warnings, and so on. So please analyze the result and make common sense and follow the best practice rules as much as we can. So that's about the best practice check-in rules. So why is it important? Only check in code that compiles. So yeah, we don't want to check in code which cause errors. And it's a real scenario, a real situation when somebody has unfinished code, which is okay, need to pass it to another developer, that's fine. And that code most likely need to be checked in. Just make sure, comment out or remove the code parts which is failing. Just, best option, just comment out, keep it in the code, check in, and the other developer can take it over. That's it. And the second important thing, to assign a DevOps work item to the change set, but do not resolve it as a developer. So what's going on? The SME or the requester user creates the work item. Our hierarchy in DevOps that we found working the best for us, the top level is for us the Epic. Under the Epic node, we can have multiple user stories, and for example, user story apply a new button on the release product page. And under that user story, we can have multiple work items, the actual what we need to do. That's our hierarchy. And the SME or the user creates that work item. It creates automatically a reference number. And if we have, or the client has their own external change tracking system, we can put here in the title of the work item that external reference number, and please do it. If we have more than one reference number, it's even better. So just do it, and after all, the SME or the user enters a meaningful title, assign it to the developer activate it. So it's a DevOps side. And that's a collaboration needed between the requester, the SME, and the developer, and it's gonna be paying off at the end. Both sides, we follow those very simple rules. So what's going on in the developer side? Developer completed the development, and our rules just take this entire description or title from the DevOps side, put it in the checking comments. So when at the moment when we just about to check in the change, in this case, are gonna be identical, and we have the option to link the change to the actual work item, and it's a very useful feature. So we just try to type the work item ID in this field. It's gonna pop up. Just hit enter, auto populates the field. And we have two options here in the right side: the associate that change set to the work item, or solve the work item. So we don't want to solve it at this point because the development is completed, but we need to test it. So just associate it, commit the change set. It's gonna keep this state active. So if we solve it, it's closing the check-in, closing the state. It's not good. Just keep it to be associated. So what's going to happen? A new link going to be created, which here in the DevOps side, which is pointing still in DevOps to the change set. So why it's very useful? Because if we need to issue resolving, the user who is testing immediately can just click on the link. It opens the change set details in DevOps with the developer name it and the external ID in it and everything. So a very quick start. Reach out the developer. We need issue. Developer can identify the change very quick. So if we follow these rules, it's makes our lives way more easier. Just we can just highly suggest it to do something similar in your practice, which I just talked about earlier, the overnight build automation. So please communicate the timing with the developers. In this case, if they want to check in for sure something for the overnight build, they can do it. And it's important, we usually schedule it for that time zone where the most of the developers working and checking in code most frequently to the DevOps. So that's a very good practice. So let's talk about the release and the deployment strategies. So why it's important? There is a huge difference between the implementation project and after go live. During the implementation project, we have our plan, the implementation plan, the fast track and the success by design. We need to follow the steps. So we have the timeline. We have a lot of developments if it's a heavily developed, customized implementation. So we need to schedule it. We need to quite often deploy codes. So we need to create a calendar for that. register all of the details in DevOps. In this case, it's visible for everybody. We have possible ad hoc package deployments, still needs to be scheduled. The all-in-one package is a requirement, so the ISV solution needs to be included. It's an extra step we need to do to bring in the ISV code or just the already compiled DLLs under version control, and we need to build the all-in-one package. It's all timing. It needs to be scheduled. Somebody needs to be controlled and on the top of all of these things. And we need to deal with the Microsoft releases. So we need to plan that the UAT phase needs to be signed off on that version that we are targeting to be the actual production when we request the production from Microsoft. So it's all about timing, and we need to keep an eye on the Microsoft release schedule, which is on this screen. It's roughly 1 month, so it's monthly frequency, which is good after go live for the product, but it can be challenging if we have a lot of development needs to be done during the implementation. So we need to definitely keep an eye on this calendar. We need to keep an eye on the quality updates. So once a version is released, after that point, Microsoft creates quality updates with the fixes and so on. And the quality updates is located in the details page of the given environment. So if we log into LCS, open the details page, in one of the top pages, we have this view update button. Open it, analyze the list, the pop-up window. Okay, we need something scheduled, that update. And if we have ISV release schedule, we need to definitely keep an eye on that ISV releases as well, because we definitely need to incorporate that schedule to our schedule. So it's a triangle that we definitely need to get under control and plan it. After go live, it's a different story. I saw it many times in practice, and it's a valid approach. Yeah, no big rush to pick up the very fresh update. Wait a week or something. It's completely doable. The issue search in LCS, check the quality updates, and we can decide, okay, we can see what we need and take the update and update our environment. So it's a little bit more relaxing pattern and schedule compared to the implementations. And again, we still need to keep an eye on that calendar, and the ISVs communicate with the ISVs. Yeah, we highly recommend to do it, create calendars for that, communicate it with the team. Very important thing. Branching strategy. It's also a big difference during the implementation process. I mean, project, or if we are in the internal development project or feature development. Main rule is keep it simple as much as it's possible. The branching can be very complicated if we get it out of our control. So no, again, just keep it simple as much as it possible. So during the implementation, and because of the all-in-one package requirement, main dev and test branches should be efficient enough. No more branches. So the development is going on in the dev branch. Overnight build validates the codes. If everything is okay, then it goes to the test. Tested, it passed the test. It goes to the main, so merged, and we can release it to test. It's simple. If we want to be super accurate, we can introduce a release branch, but because of the all-in-one package, so the all-in-one package contains everything, and it's a cumulative and it's a requirement for the D365 FNSCM. The release branch practically almost gonna be identical with the main in this scenario. Necessary or not, it depends on our plan. And unfortunately, because of the situation that I just described, the feature development approach might not fit the best for or cannot fit to the implementation project. for internal or feature development, or after go live, we can switch to the feature development, or even in the UAT phase, when in implementation project, when the heavy development is done, validated the code cutover plan is ongoing, we move to the UAT phase. In this case, the frequency of the deployment and the strategy slightly can be changed. They mostly look like to be a feature development. So what the feature development is, so instead of using one dev branch and its simple topology, we can introduce everything is in main branch. And even if we just talking about as an ISV, or we just start to develop a complete new feature, no implementation at all, so we can start with coding it here or blank main branch. But after all, we branching out the code, or can create a feature branch, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, whatever we need, and we do the development on that feature branch. And we can, after all, we can have a dedicated test branch for the given feature. We do the test in there. Once it's passed, now that code goes back to the main branch, and then the release branch and release it. But that's just a very high level, and it's gonna be very unique, the branching strategy per client, per feature. But again, keep it simple as possible. And again, specifically for the D365 FNSCM, it's an all-in-one package. Yeah, we need to combine everything into that all-in-one package before we deploy it to the targeted environments, UAT or the production. So let's talk about how to validate Microsoft and ISV releases. Yeah. Check the Microsoft Waves release documentation. It's public in the internet, large documentation, but it says we can see what is upcoming for us, and yeah, have a look at, and check the ISV's release notes as well before we planning to take or willing to take the actual new release. Check the quality updates. If you remember, it was on the details page of the actual environment. And what we found very useful, dedicate a cloud-hosted instance for the validation, not connected to the version control. And why? And just please don't forget to enter your questions to the chat window at any time. I'm gonna do my best to answer for questions after this presentation. So why we want to do that? Because it's a low-cost environment. We have full control over it, and we can practically do anything what we want to do in this environment with full control. Before we deploy any new ISV or Microsoft release to the UAT or test environment, specifically in the middle of the implementation, when everybody, the SMEs, users, testing and configuring things in the UAT or the test environment, we don't want to interrupt that process. So we found it very helpful to dedicate a specific environment, just pre-testing that Microsoft and the ISV releases. So we take the release, create the package, and deploy it to that one tier 1 test box under the cloud hosted environments, Azure hosted, and do the performance, regression testings, the smoke testings there before do anything else. And what we figured it out, and we had some small problems with the new features by Microsoft. So those are the features which is under the sysadmin module in the F&O, and the feature management, the multiple checkboxes on and off. They can do funny things, unwanted things, and we need to be cautious with them. And we definitely most likely have some features that we want to turn on, but we want to test them out before we push it to the UAT or the test environment. So be cautious with that. So what the advantages are for that environment: full admin control, local secure backups. The environment can be reinstalled anytime. Package deployment can be in development mode. Visual Studio is available. Good. Unfortunately, it cannot be used for performance testing, and embedded Power BI is not supported. So the last slide is the database movement. So why we need to do that? So during the implementation process, we have multiple databases: Gold, UAT, and Test, and we need to manage to move the data repeatedly. Developers need it, SMEs need it. We need to schedule it. So we always create a database refresh calendar, publish it to DevOps, and everybody can see it. It's well communicated, and it makes our lives way more easier. Everybody knows what is going on. So that's the main purpose, and we can automate it. I just already described it. And in this case, we have the backup. We don't have to wait for the completion when we click on start it in the LCS. We can start it from the LCS, and we can automate it from DevOps in one of the pipelines, and the outcome is the very same. Just of that automated backup is just produce the same output, just like our manual backup. So why we want to do it after go live? Because we want to speed up the issue resolving. The only way to get the production data to our hand, refresh one of the subscription environments, it's roughly 1.5 hours. If we need to wait for that process, it's another 1.5 hours, and it's almost 4 hours to get the database from here to here if a developer needs to have a look. So if we automate that part and we schedule repeatedly to make that step, we can save almost a day. Yeah, so that all about the database movement strategies. Please do this exercise, and I think the end of the presentation. So thank you for your audience, and I think we enter into the Q&A session. So thank you again. Bye. Yes, so the Q&A session. I have Mike Lamb with me, who is our practice lead in the F&amp practice. Mike, please introduce yourself quickly.
Hello, thank you, Andras. Appreciate you doing this. This is awesome to be here. My name is Mike Lamb. I'm the practice lead for the Finance Supply Chain Management practice here at Encore Business Solutions. And I'm here to be Andras's helper and moderator here for the questions that everybody has. So I'll go ahead and let Andras know if there's any questions from the audience here to look at.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, just please let me know if you find. So I can see a question about the gated check-in policy. So why don't use it, Paul? Yes, it's a good question. I couldn't remember why we decided not to use it. Yeah, I don't know actually the correct response. I mean, answer that why we don't use it. We just found and again, it's just what our practice is about, and we just simply use that overnight build for that, and we very often, once it just the build is succeeded, we just took that build and pushed to the test environment or something like that. Yeah, and the other comment was here to repeatedly perform the get latest version from the version control. Yes, we do it in practice. It's in our development essentials rules. Yes, so if somebody start a new development, that's the very first step for that. Yes. Mike, do we have other question?
I'm having an issue seeing it at the moment. So if you can see him, Andras, go ahead and answer him.
Yep, I'm just quickly scrolling this case to the window. Other comment is it's more common to dev one boxes to the local, to be local or cloud hosted. Yeah, we have it in practice. We don't recommend it to be in local. One of our guys, that development, actually just setting up at the moment one local VM. We usually always just go with the cloud hosted ones. If we don't use them, we just turn them on off, zero cost. Yep, I couldn't find any. Okay, do you have any idea from Lucas? Do you have any idea why having too many DB backups to deploy your packages in LCS slows the LCS significantly? I unfortunately don't have proper answer for that question. We just saw it unfortunately in multiple cases. So if the cleanup is not completed repeatedly, I experienced with the opening. So once you, for example, for the when a all-in-one package, so I wanted to update the one of the environments, for example, the test, even just to get the list of the deployable, I mean the validated packages on the right side on the dialog window. When we get the 200 packages, it took 6 minutes or something like that. Even just get the list, and after all, even if it's UAT, you need to put the unique name on it and wait for the apply button became available. So it was a 6-8 minutes process for me to even just kick off the service request. So, but after we just cleaned it up, kept 25-30 packages, it just turned back to normal. Never figured it out, or asked even Microsoft about why. Yeah.
All right, Andras, I can see now. So there's a question from Brian. If you're doing multiple builds a day with gated checking, it can get expensive for paying all the Azure time.
Yes, but again, we didn't do it in practice, the gated checking. So practically in our practice, in the majority of the projects, we just get that overnight one build kick off, and that's it. And in our practice, if any immediate fixes were needed, we just get the fix done by the development, and it's usually one more extra build on the same day that we do, and and that's all practically.
All right. Yeah. There's another question from John. How do you schedule database refresh from production to a test environment?
Yes, so it's maybe it's a little bit misleading. There is no LCS schedule for that. So schedule in your calendar, and communicate with the SMEs if it's needed. So it just rather a practice or exercise what to do. So schedule for yourself to do it on Thursday evening after hours, and maybe Tuesday next week or something like that. And once it's landed in the UAT, in the test, your overnight automated backup gonna pick it up and export it, and it's gonna be available by the next morning. So yeah, it's just your own schedule. No LCS schedule for that.
All right, thank you, Andras. Maurice has any tips for DB cleanup anonymization after restore in UAT or test environment from prod?
Yes, it's a good question. We have our list but there is no real automation to my best knowledge. Yes, of course, we always complete the post database refresh steps that we need to do. Bad jobs, enable users, and if we have integrations, then check on that and so on. But in our practice, there is no any real automation about to complete that post DB refresh.
All right. Brian has a question. There are definitely a lot of complaints about LCS performance in the Microsoft Yammer. I do believe that soon they're going to start automatically delete very old packages.
Yes, that's a good point. We just got the email, I think roughly 2 weeks ago, the public email from Microsoft for multiple clients of us. Exactly the same topic. I mean, the subject. So Microsoft, I think, already started actively executing that cleanup on behalf of the client. I think the Microsoft keeps one year packages, and the packages that older than 1 year gonna be cleaned up. But it can be still a huge amount of packages. So yeah, we still recommend to clean up the unnecessary packages from LCS.
All right. There's another question from Julia. There is now an LCS API. Can we use that to automate backup transfers to test?
I'm afraid I'm not
Good
getting
question.
the question.
Yes.
Yeah, what the API? So yeah, so when you do the backup, is definitely the API that you utilize in the release branch. But yeah, other than that, if you want to move it to test to the UAT, I'm not aware of any automation to actually trigger the import part. Yeah, of that API. I never used it. Not really aware of it. Sorry about it.
All right. Are there any other questions out there? Well, if there's no more questions, thank you everyone for attending Andras' session here. That was awesome for you guys. I know everyone's super busy on your days in the F&O world, so definitely appreciate you taking the time to watch his session and answer your questions today. So I think
yes, and don't forget the conversation is continues on the portal. So the Dynamics Con. So definitely just send the additional questions. We're gonna keep an eye on it and respond and do our best. And yes, thank you for the audience and attending this session.